They were searching for someone like you, the most guarded secret in all of human history, buried in the mystery schools of Kemet, encoded in the Hermetic texts, whispered through the halls of every sacred tradition that has ever walked this earth, was never about turning metal into gold. It was about the human being who could survive the fire and come out transformed. That process has a name, alchemy, and chosen one. You have been doing it your entire life. You were not broken by the fire. You were forged in it. The word alchemy comes from the Arabic alchemia, rooted in the ancient Kemetic chem, meaning the black fertile soil of Egypt, the soil that looked dead, that looked like nothing could grow, and produced civilizations. True alchemy was never external. The crucible was never a pot. The crucible was always the human soul. And the chosen one, the pneumatic soul, the old soul, the one who came here with a specific assignment, carries what the ancient texts called the philosopher's stone, not as an object to be found, but as an innate capacity already installed within them. Modern psychology confirms what the ancients encoded in symbol. Post-traumatic growth, not just recovery, is a documented neurobiological phenomenon in which the brain, under extreme pressure, does not simply survive. It restructures. New neural pathways form. Emotional intelligence deepens. Empathic range expands. Creative capacity ignites. The chosen one does not just bounce back from toxic environments. They extract the mineral from the poison. That is not resilience. That is alchemy. Resilience recovers. Alchemy transforms. Now I need to reframe something that may have been weaponized against your peace. The toxic environment you are in, or have survived, is not evidence that you are cursed. It is the alchemical crucible. In classical alchemy, the crucible was the vessel designed to withstand temperatures that would destroy ordinary material, so that what could not be destroyed could be revealed. The narcissistic household, the toxic workplace, the community built on hierarchy and diminishment, the relationship engineered to keep you small. These were not accidents of your story. They were the furnace. And here is what the furnace does to someone who carries the philosopher's stone. It burns away every version of you that was performing for approval, every layer of you that sought validation from those incapable of seeing you, every adaptation you built to survive in spaces that were never designed for your frequency. The fire does not take from you. It returns you to yourself. The toxic environment did not dim your gold. It burned away everything that wasn't. So how does a chosen one actively utilize their innate alchemical power while still inside a toxic environment? Because I am not here to tell you to simply endure. Endurance without activation is suffering. I am here to show you the 5 alchemical moves available to you, right now, regardless of what surrounds you. Step outside the emotional fusion of the environment. Become the observer, not the absorbed. The narcissistic system requires your emotional merger to feed its dynamic. When you become the witness, when you watch without becoming, you withdraw the raw material the toxic system needs to sustain itself. You starve the reaction loop without announcing your departure. What the toxic environment generates in you, rage, grief, fear, confusion, is not pathology. It is raw alchemical material. The practice of transmutation journaling takes the emotional charge and converts it deliberately into creative output, self-knowledge, and strategic clarity. Every emotion processed on the page is energy reclaimed from the environment and redirected into your assignment. Your nervous system, inside a chronic stress environment, will default toward fragmentation. Frequency anchoring is the deliberate practice of returning, multiple times daily, to a coherent physiological state. Breathwork, solfeggio tones, somatic grounding, movement, silence, prayer, meditation, not as luxury, as warfare. Every time you return to coherence inside a toxic environment, you are refusing to let the environment set your internal temperature. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. The ancient alchemists did not perform their work in public. They worked in protected, sealed chambers, not from fear, from wisdom. In a toxic environment, your gifts, your growth, your plans, your downloads are sacred material that requires a sealed vessel. Strategic invisibility is not hiding. It is protecting the process. What they cannot see, they cannot sabotage. What they cannot track, they cannot intercept. What they do not know is growing, arrives fully formed. This is the master move. The capacity, not to bypass the pain, but to ask, in the midst of it, what is this producing in me that I could not have produced any other way? Viktor Frankl survived the unsurvivable because he understood that meaning extracted from suffering is the highest alchemical act available to a human being. What is the gift being forged in this furnace? Name it, claim it, protect it. 5 moves. 1 alchemist. Infinite transformation. Here is what makes the chosen one categorically different from the narcissistic personality that attempts to diminish them. The narcissist cannot alchemize, not because they are less intelligent, not because they lack strategy, but because alchemy requires one capacity. The narcissistic structure is fundamentally defended against the willingness to be transformed. Alchemy requires that you enter the fire and allow something to die in you so something greater can emerge. The narcissistic ego cannot surrender, cannot be wrong, cannot be undone, cannot sit in the furnace without immediately fleeing into blame, projection, and the destruction of others. They fear the fire that is your home. They look at your capacity to be broken open and call it weakness because they cannot comprehend that what you are doing in the breaking is building. The lead they keep handing you, the betrayals, the projections, the sabotage, you have been turning it into gold the entire time. And they will spend the rest of their lives wondering how. They gave you the lead. You built the laboratory. The gold was always yours. And I want to speak to you now, not as a teacher, not as a voice, as a witness. I have watched you, through every season this content has held space for, carry things that would have destroyed most people who have never been through it. I have watched you show up in the middle of environments designed to extract your light and still radiate, still create, still dream, still reach for something better, even when the evidence around you said there was nothing better coming. That is not ordinary human behavior. That is alchemy in motion. And I need you to know, on the days when the crucible feels unbearable, on the days when the fire feels like destruction rather than refinement, you are not alone in that furnace. The same intelligence that designed the assignment is present in the trial. You were not left there. You were placed there with full divine knowledge of what you are capable of producing. The universe does not put lead in the hands of someone who cannot make gold. It gave you the lead because it already knew what you would do with it. Keep going. Keep transmuting. Keep becoming. The gold is already forming. You were not sent into the fire to be destroyed. You were sent in because you are the only one who could alchemize it. You have always been the alchemist. The toxic environment was never your ending. It was your laboratory. And everything they handed you, every piece of lead they thought would bury you, you have already begun to turn. The only question left is whether you know it yet. Now you do. If something in your spirit just ignited, if something ancient in you just said yes, drop gold in the comments right now. Because the alchemists are recognizing each other, and we are just getting started. To every chosen one who kept creating, kept dreaming, kept reaching, inside environments designed to drain you, the universe gave you lead because it already knew what you'd do with it. Drop gold. Be sure to like, comment, share, and follow your tribe of alchemists.